Lee Cockerell, thank you very much for joining me today at Rewind Yourself. It's an absolute pleasure to have you tonight with me. Let's start by introducing yourself and tell the audience who you are and what you've been doing in your career, because you've got a very exciting experiences, and probably everyone will know what you've done for the world and put smiles on all people's faces.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me on. I think I have a good message for a lot of people because I grew up very poor. We were on a farm. We had really no money. We didn't even have indoor plumbing back in the day. I grew up in the 40s and 50s, and I grew up in Oklahoma, where it was very racist, very bigoted. It was a period of time that was pretty tough in America. My mother was married 5 times, so that was kind of dysfunctional.
Oh,
And
wow.
luckily, I had my grandmother next door who kept my spirits high and really taught me that I could do whatever I wanted. So I think a lot of times we have some negative things going on in our life, but hopefully there's something positive too. And grandmothers can be that, and was. So my mother actually married a number four husband who had money, so I got to go to college. He was a doctor, and that just shows you make better decisions, you make more money. So I went to Oklahoma State for 2 years, university in Oklahoma. I was not a good student, never was. My family didn't really focus on that. My brother and I were the first ones to even go to college. I went for 2 years. My grades were terrible. I left. I went in the Army in 1965, and that was a good for me. That discipline of there's an Army way and systems, operating guideline, rules, regulations, and you learn to follow them. And I think that's what makes most organizations successful is that they have a very clear way that they do it their way. And the companies that have good systems, policies, procedures, operating guidelines do well and stay in the game for a long time. So after that, I met a fellow in the Army, and he said, "You want to go to Washington, D.C. with me? I'm going to open the Washington Hilton Hotel." And I'd never been out of Oklahoma. So we drove to Washington. I got a job as a banquet waiter at the Washington Hilton. In fact, it was going to open in 2 weeks. And in fact, the fellow I was in the Army with was Terrence Biggs. He was from the UK because in those days, if you had a green card, you had to serve in the US military. And Graham Cromack was the other one. So I had two UK guys that were my roommates. I lost track of Terrence, but his uncle was the one that was involved in that great train robbery back in the 70s. So I don't know where he is. But anyway, I just got in the job and I tried to be the best waiter they ever had. And because I didn't have a degree, I did well. And I tell people the main reasons and main things you can do to ensure your success is to have a good attitude and be reliable. Those two things really matter a lot because people notice when you're reliable, you have a good attitude, you show up on time, you do what you say you're going to do, they trust you. So I think that's the key to success today, trust. And there's not a lot of it going on in the world. I eventually got into accounting department. I applied for the job. I got in there. I started learning accounting, finance, and then I got promoted to an assistant controller position, and then controller. And then I started getting promoted. I got promoted to Chicago, then to the Waldorf Astoria in New York, then to Los Angeles. There I quit because my boss and I didn't get along. I didn't like him. I don't know if he liked me or not, but I was working 6 days a week. He was one of these screaming guys that was always mad about something. And I took a job in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, doubled my salary, and got fired 90 days later. The place went bankrupt, so I had a 2 year old, a Volkswagen, a wife, and no money. And so I took about 3 months to get a job, and I landed at Marriott. And I spent 17 years there, eventually becoming the vice president of food and beverage planning worldwide for them. And not because I didn't, of course I didn't have a degree, but I had a lot of experience and I had learned all parts of the food and beverage business. And I think that's a good lesson for everybody. People want to know what you can do for them, not what you know. What can you do for me? And I guess I did a good job. And then stayed with Marriott 17 years. Eventually got recruited by Disney in 1990 to go to France and open Disneyland Paris. And did that for 3 years. Then I got asked to come to Orlando and be in charge of the resort division first, and then 2 years later, in charge of all operations at Walt Disney World. So it was a surprise to me. I'm still shocked that I got to do all those things. But I would say just get started, learn, get up every morning, ask questions, find out what's going on, and become an expert in something. And the world will probably take pretty good care of you. So that's kind of my life. I've been married 57 years. We live in Orlando. I got one son who was with Disney 25 years. He was the vice president of the Magic Kingdom and Epcot and the studio. He's now CEO of Torrens University in Australia. He and his wife, and I have three grandkids that are all doing great. And one's 30, 126, and 124. So life goes by quick. I look back on my career and I really enjoyed most days. Of course, you don't enjoy 9/11, you don't enjoy recessions, you don't enjoy your boss yelling at you. But overall, it was a good hospitality was a good business, and I think it's going to continue to grow. The world has more money, people are traveling more, more cruise ships opening. It's just every country in the world has got a bigger middle class now. So it was a good choice by accident that I got into that business.
That's a very impressive career history. Not many can really, a lot of people can probably dream to have a career like yourself. Is there anything you hold fond and because you've been responsible for a ton of people, a huge number, 40,000 staff members, and
Uh,
obviously it's impossible for one individual to be able to manage that many people. Yeah, how did you do it? How did you cope with all this stress, for example, and keeping up the standards, making differences, and yeah, keeping it floating really, because it's a huge responsibility.
Yeah, I think the biggest lesson there is you can't do it all. I didn't know that much about any of the departments. I was not an expert in anything except the food business and maybe the hotel business a little bit, but I had never worked in a theme park. I had engineers, I had security, 1,800 security people, transportation. I didn't know any about it. But the key is hire the people who do. And I hired really good people, and I took my time and I made sure we were clear on what their performance needed to look like and what my expectations were. And then I let them do their job. And I didn't really worry about it. They came to me if they needed something, I tried to help them. But one thing you got to understand right away, do what you do best and then hire experts to do what you need. And you do that, you'll do just fine. Some people want to boss everybody around and micromanage and tell everybody they hire how to do it. Great people want to be have responsibility and authority. They want to run their business, and that's what I let happen. And I spent 40 some years without getting fired again. But I had a great team. I mean, it was amazing.
Today probably we can reflect on those same experiences because people change a lot. The jobs, they move around, they want to progress fast, they want to achieve success very quickly, and not only in terms of the responsibilities or job titles they have, but also money wise. They want to shoot for the stars, get rich quickly, have a very comfortable life, and it's quite challenging. So this is one of the reasons why I started the challenge here on this channel, because I wanted to show younger generations that it's not always about being rich or successful or good looking, which is not bad to aim for the stars and do something with your own life, but there are also other bits to life, and how it's supposed to look like. That's why I'm speaking with people like yourself, how overall things look like in life. And it's not all just about this, as you mentioned before, showing up, working hard, being on time. These are very important values. But is there anything you would change if you could go back into your childhood times and tell yourself, the younger person of yourself, is there anything you would change or make different, or give them yourself an advice that could change potentially the path you went into? Or were you quite happy, satisfied with everything, and you said there was everything without any mistakes, failures, and
Yeah.
I didn't want to alter my past?
Well, I would say that it turned out that way, but when I started, I was extremely insecure. Here's a young kid. I no college degree, grew up in a little town in Oklahoma. I don't know anything, never been anywhere. So when I start working in Chicago, New York, and places, I'm very intimidated. Like I don't believe I'm good enough, or I'll be. So I was always had a lot of anxiety around being found out that maybe he doesn't know what he's doing. And it took me a long time to get over that insecurity. I was working with people that had their big degrees from big schools, Harvard, and all these other places, and I said when I went to make a speech, they always introduced the Harvard guy before me, and then they said, "Now here's Lee Cockerell from the farm in Oklahoma." But that's the case. Most of any problem I had or anything I want to change is really internal. It's the way you think, and the way I worked my way out of that is each time I had success, I got more confident. And then I had more success. I got more confident, and it was gradual. I would say a lot of people out in the world are not doing well because they're afraid of failure. They're afraid to take a chance. They're afraid to be embarrassed. They're afraid to. They don't think they're good enough. And the only way you find out is you just do it. And I told all my grandkids, you take a job, you be better than everybody else. And then somebody will say, hey, he's a good man. And this is how it progressed with me. And I think even today, that's still possible. Be better than everybody else, no matter what you decide to do, and people will notice. And because so many people are not doing that, they don't have that attitude. And like you said, they want it quicker and they want it now and they don't want to wait. And certainly the social media is showing everybody that everybody's happy, everybody's got a brand new car, and that's not true. And so you got to be careful to stay up with reality. Now, one reason I probably have a better view of the world is I've now been to 48 countries. I've done work all over the world. I've moved 11 times. I've worked in all the big cities. I've lived internationally. That changes you. And I would tell your listeners today, if you want to really get ahead, really focus on getting really good experience and really good exposure to people of the world, other places, how it's done. Exposure is a powerful educator, as is experience. You know, you'll probably forget half of what you learn in school, but you'll never forget those hard experiences and that exposure you had to people from somewhere else. And that to me is just, I would challenge everybody to think, are you putting enough time into getting experience and things you need to know, taking those jobs just to get the experience, and you get the pay later? And are you working hard to get the exposure? Having friends from other places, meeting people, going places. Uh, this, and a lot of people, they don't want to do that for some reason. Their parents don't want to tell their neighbors that my daughter is a waitress, or my son. You know, uh, sometimes parents have these high expectations that really derail their children from taking chances. And so that's the way I did it. Our son did it the same way, and we made sure he got a lot of exposure in his life. So living in Chicago, New York, L.A., Paris, that's a lot of exposure, and and it's good for you because you learn there's more than one way to get things done, and you learn a lot about people, and you learn a lot about how much people are struggling and how you can help them. I said, don't underestimate what you can do for people, and don't underestimate your influence to help people understand that they can be better, they can do better. I say, quit being the boss, and everybody ought to be a teacher. Like mothers. Mothers are the best teachers in the world because they love you, they care. But most bosses are, I don't know. I don't know if they had a good mother because most
Yeah.
bosses today are under so much pressure and anxiety and depression that it's hard to work under a lot of them because they pass that tension on down to you, and a lot of people are not happy in their jobs. That's the problem, And most people, it's not the company you work for; it's the boss you have. Are you being treated respectfully, professionally? Are you being educated, trained, and developed? And when you got a boss like that, you love it. When you got a boss that doesn't even know your last name, you're not so happy. So those are kinds of things people need to think about. It's all people. Every problem you have in your life will be a person. So focus on people. You need people to support you, and you need people that you can support, and we multiply this thing. Even in a company, 80% of the people might be happy and 20% are unhappy because of the boss they have, who they report to. It's, people ask me, how's the morale at Disney? I said, it depends who your boss is. you know, some people are happy, some are not happy. This is the way, and leaders and mothers and fathers have huge, you become what they teach you.
Yeah.
So you call your mother and thank her.
Yeah, I mean, you covered a lot of bases what people can do really to sort of improve the future and open the opportunities and chances for maybe reaching the goal they want to achieve. But what do you think is the biggest challenge currently is with the younger generation especially, and what would you say they should focus? Okay, showing up to work, being on time, being committed, working hard, doing the best possible, but what would you say? Because if you look at this now, the younger generations, they're put or dumped into the world of internet now, artificial intelligence, and it's very hard for them to get the exposure because it's not like back in the days. You would let your kids go play outside, you wouldn't worry, they would show up at home at night, you wouldn't worry that they would disappear, someone would kidnap them. They wouldn't have a phone, they would just knock on someone's door and say, hi, would you like to go and play football, or would you like to go and play dolls with me, or whatever it is. But the younger generation doesn't get the exposure. So what would you say would be a good advice from you, making those first steps and making them more comfortable in today's world? Because now everyone expects, okay, let's see what social media is offering, and we want to do this overnight, we want to be successful overnight, we want to be rich and everything else, whatever the social media world is showing. But the reality is completely different. It takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of sacrifices and commitment. So what would you say?
I would say generally, if your parents have not developed that sense of responsibility in you and work ethic and responsibility, I think one of the problems is kids need to have more responsibility when they're 14, 15, a job, 16, whatever it is. All of my son growing up, he worked every summer on a ranch in Oklahoma out in the 95-degree temperature. All my grandkids worked from the time they were 16 for horticulture, landscaping companies. They had to work. They didn't need to work because we had enough money. They didn't have, but we know how that value is unbelievable. They had to be to work at 6 in the morning when you're 16 years old, and they had to wear their name tag and be on time, and they learned all those things, and they worked around people who had not done that and were having a lot of problems in their life. They saw the poverty, they saw the lack of education, they saw. So they all went to college, they all did well, they all graduated in 4 years because we had a lot of clarity around that. We say we only pay for 4 years, so you better go to class. And there was a lot of structure and a lot of love. So if people become 18, 19, 20, they don't listen to their parents anymore. In fact, they don't listen to authority very much at all, and they don't have a lot of respect and regard for older people. And so it's, I think, talks like you and I are having right now to remind people that it's never too late to get better, but you got to kind of, half the stuff in your brain is not true. You got to start to focus on the basics, which is take a job, be better than everybody else, go there, keep learning, ask questions every day. If you're busy all day working, you won't be on your phone. And that's the problem. A lot of employers are letting people be on their phone when they ought to be paying attention to the customer. And then you will see success, and you'll learn, and you got to make that decision that it's not easy. If you don't do the hard things, life gets harder. If you think you're going to get a free ride or go on the internet and be an influencer, odds are you're not. And time goes by. And if you're not careful, first you're 18, then you're 30. And what happened? You didn't get any experience. You haven't been exposed. You didn't go back to school. You're not. People got to take, I mean, it's just this. You've got to actually believe that if you don't take charge of doing the right things by getting educated, getting exposed, getting experience, and having a great attitude and being reliable, you're not going to get ahead. You're going to have a problem. Now, we talk about young people. I got three grandkids, all three young, 30, 26. They're all very successful. So we sometimes we talk about these young people. We've been talking about these young people for like 200 years. They're always a problem. Young people are always a problem. In the 50s, oh, everybody's paying too much attention to Elvis Presley. In the 70s, everybody had too much long hair. These young people, these young people, these young people. And it's always the same. Uh, the only thing we got is young people. So we better figure out how to inspire them, educate them, support them, build their self esteem, build their self confidence. And that's all we can do. You got to be people, they need encouragement, they need clarity, they need discipline, they need firmness, they need consistency. And I would say the parents are the biggest fault. I tell you, if you don't get your kids ready, they say, somebody said the best way to raise a child is from 1 to 5. You love them, you hug them, you hold them, you tell them how great they are. From 6 to 14, you show them about discipline, being on time, have a job, do this, responsibility. And by 14, it's over. They won't listen to you anymore. So you better have instilled this, who you are, early. And this is not happening. It, it is happening, but not. We're seeing too many that don't have that discipline, that don't have that belief in themselves, don't that don't believe that that believe there's an easy way to make money. The only easy way to make money is to rob the train. That's the great train robbery. That's how you make quick money. But otherwise, it's just a philosophy. I talk to groups, I talk to college students every day, I talk to universities, I talk to companies, and leadership is the key. You got to work for a company where your boss is somebody who cares about you, and they care about training you, they care about developing you, they care about telling you the truth. And when you get that kind of leader, you learn and you get better. Once you learn, they say once you've learned and you become insightful, you can't go back. Once you learn, you learn. And there's nothing wrong with having a boss who is difficult if they care about you, like it's your mother. She cares about you, so she got on your case. You know, Everybody ought to be like a mother. They love you and they tell you, you do something wrong, they kick your butt. And then they kiss you goodnight and tell you they love you. So, you got to do both empathy and discipline. Empathy and discipline. You got to raise people. And there's a lot of people with psychiatrists today and psychologists because they're confused. They didn't get that love or support, that clarity. If you don't have it, if it's not in you, you believe everything you think, and half the stuff you think's not even true. You start believing all this crap you see online, and it's not true. Your brain lies to you. Remember that. Your brain lies to you. It tells you you're better than you are, or worse. So it's a great subject for all of us to think about. What are we doing? We all know what to do, we just don't do it. You got to do it, and it takes time. You got some, just like in sports, football teams over there in UK, and those players didn't get there overnight. They worked hard. A lot of them from the time they were 7 years old. You know, you work and you do it, and you get in better shape, and you take care of yourself, and you get to sleep, and you learn. You play with people, care. They show you, people correct your performance. Next thing you know, you're a star. But you weren't. You're not born a star. You become a star. You're not born disorganized. You become disorganized. You're not born, it's we got to believe that we have the ability to change, and all we need is some support and help and patience. It takes time to be successful. It's what it is. It's a mindset. If you wake up every morning and decide to do something, you're going to do it every day. And after 2 years, you're going to say you know more about it than anybody else. Somebody's going to hire you. You know, I mean, that's what I think about it. I try to get better every day. I read every night. I try to get new material for my speeches on leadership, management, customer service. You got to keep up. Like look at right now how much people all of a sudden AI shows up. Where'd that come from? All of a sudden now everybody's trying to learn it. And I even told my granddaughter, she's 25, she lives in Manhattan. I said, Margot, she's already got Disney experience. She's worked internationally. She's worked at Disney. She's got a college degree. I said, now go get certified now in AI. So when an employer looks at your resume, he sees Disney, AI certified, you know, boom, there you get your opportunity. And that's what people are not doing. If you go in for an interview and it says, "Oh, what have you been doing for the last 3?" Oh, nothing. I'm a social media, blah, blah, blah. There's too many of those out there already. And except the one. What isn't there one where these ladies take their clothes off? They make a lot of money. That's not the way to make money. Your parents would not be happy with that. But so anyway, it's just a mindset, and it's you got to get up in the morning, decide which way you're going. You're going to go be easy today, soft. You're going to go get better. You're going to know more tonight than you did when you woke up. Uh, are you going to deal with the hard things in your life? You know what to do. You just people don't do it. We know the problems we have. We know, and people say, "What do you mean?" I said, "Maybe you need a new job. Maybe you need a new boss. Maybe you need to go back to school. Maybe you need a new wife. I don't know what you're unhappy about, but you have to deal with that. And what we don't deal with it is because, well, we want to be nice. Next thing you know, life goes by and you didn't take care of something that held you back. So, take a course. Takes, one semester, you learn something else. So, I mean, it's all about knowledge is really the fuel that drives success. Knowledge. It really does. And it's amazing how much we don't know every day. I sometimes hear about a country on the internet, and I didn't even know it was a country. And then I find out 5 million people live there. I go, what? I didn't even know that. There's so much we don't know. It's amazing because we don't work at it. So if you're going to be on the internet, probably don't be on social media. Be on taking a course. Courses are all free now online. You can take a course and become an expert in something every month. And even Harvard and Yale and all those schools are giving free. It's free. You can go on and take it free. So we have no excuse. If you don't know something, it's probably your fault because it's available. It's in your pocket. It's on your phone. So we can't. We got to quit complaining about we don't have the resources. Maybe we don't have the attitude, but that's the problem. So, and a lot of people just think, oh, poor me. I'm poor. I grew up in a bad family. Forget about all that stuff. The only one that knows that is you. Nobody knows who you are. When I went to the Waldorf Astoria to work and I was insecure, nobody knew I was insecure. So I put on a beautiful suit and tie and white shirt and went in there and looked like I was somebody because all the negatives were in my head. They couldn't see it. That's it. I always tell people you don't have to be happy to work at Disney. You got to act happy for 8 hours a day. that's and that's what we all have to. We have to be professional when you don't have to love your job, but you got to be professional so nobody finds out you hate your job. It's a big show. The world is a big show. We're all in a big show. we, we want to be we want to be on stage, the actor and famous. It takes time and luck. It takes a lot of luck. But you got to do something. You can't sit around looking out the window. That's how and let me tell you, I was the most insecure guy in the whole world 40 years ago. I mean, literally, I'd never been anywhere. I knew nothing, nothing, nothing. I didn't watch the news. I didn't read the paper. I had no clue. What I know today is it's amazing. Exposure, experience in college, education, whatever you get. Anyway, what else is on your mind there?
No, that's a lot of wisdom, lots of lessons and yeah, takeaways. So definitely, thank you very much for sharing this. But what do you do if things get really tough in your life? How do you deal with them? How do you overcome them, and how do you proceed with your day-to-day responsibilities? What's
Yeah, you
your
never
recipe for handling difficult situation or a bad day?
Yeah, you never know how you're going to handle it because some are tragic and some are really difficult and some are fixable. But I know in my own career, my wife and I got married and we had $500 and we moved to Chicago, and I found my old checkbook last night, and I was looking through it, and I used to write a check for like $10 or $15 every couple of days. We had no credit card. We worked on cash. Then we had a baby, and I looked in there. Diaper service was $15 a week. Oh man, that was, and and everything worked out. We were very thrifty. We had no credit card. We just really paid attention because we knew we had nothing. And then I got promoted, had a little more money, a little promotion. Then we finally got a credit card, and I had more money and more income. And then I got fired. I didn't have a job for 3 months. I had a 2 year old, a Volkswagen, a wife, no money. They confiscated our furniture because we broke the lease. And I will tell you, when you have those down times, I hopefully, and we did. We had good family and friends to help us get through it. We went and stayed with friends. I would look for my new job was looking for a job every morning, every day. We went and stayed with family, and they helped us and supported us. And I finally got a job at Marriott, and then I got passed over for a promotion once that I thought I should have gotten, and I was disappointed, and I thought it was unfair. And you just kind of mentally go through it. And then Disney came and approached me. You just got to keep being. I tell people tell me when people say I hate my job, I hate my boss. What should I do? I said, keep doing a great job while you look for another one, but leave when they think you're wonderful and you're great. Then you leave. Don't let your performance go down. Do a great job, and every day look for another job. And if you're not being respected at work and included and involved, and you're not being trained and developed, leave. Don't let people disrespect you. You'll find something out there. If you look every day, you'll find something. And then find out what skills it takes to get the job you need, and get online and start learning them. So you can put it on your resume, your CV, and say, here's what I know. Blah, 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 blah. You'll find it. Let me tell you, anybody that wants to a job can get a job. Sometimes you might have to clean the bathrooms for 3 months before you become in charge of the bathroom cleaners. It's reliability, attitude, responsibility, reliability. I just keep saying that over and over, because anybody who's got a great attitude and is reliable is a piece of gold. You think about it. How many people are not doing what they say? They're disorganized. They don't follow up. They don't do what they say they're going to do. They go out drinking every night, show up late to work, blah, blah, blah. If you're that person that has got a great attitude, you're reliable, and you keep learning, you will not have a problem. So if you have a problem, it's probably your fault. That's how I think about it. 99% of my problems in my life have been my fault. I let it go. I didn't deal with it. I didn't take advantage of it. And when you look at your life, any problems you have today are probably your fault. That's scary, isn't it? Yeah, because you can do something about it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, not sit around and not pray for the better times, just act.
Yeah,
Uh,
praying and wishing don't work too well.
in your opinion, everyone has a different view, but is the key to successful and fulfilling life? As I tapped before, a lot of people trying to aim and shoot for the stars, which is not bad because we really want to become better and be a better version of ourselves for the future, maybe for kids, etc. But what do you think it's really, really, the key to a successful and fulfilling life? Having experienced what you've experienced in your life, having had those different positions, having had to work really hard for what you've earned, down the line. Is it really all about, the money, the materialistic things, or
Uh,
what's really important, for example?
well, there's certainly a balance to life. Money doesn't hurt. But I will tell you, in my life, being married 57 years, literally, my family is the only thing that keeps me. Somebody said, "How would you rate your life, Lee?" And I said, "Complete." I have a wife of 57 years. I have a son that's extremely successful, one of the nicest, most morally good people I know. I have three grandkids that are all great kids. They are all honest and high integrity, and I would say the joy in my life is when we get together and spend together, or when I talk to them on the phone. Now, I've made a good salary, yes, but at the end of the day, if I had that money and I didn't have them, I don't know. You can't even explain love. You cannot understand how deeply your mother loves you. You can't understand it. You have no idea. She worries about you every day, and I asked my grandson, I said, "How often do you think about us, Julian?" He said, "What?" I said, "We think about you every day." So that is where mine comes from. Now, I'm glad that I was able to make a good salary because sure. But deep down at the end of the day, I don't need money. I mean, I'm 81 years old. We're not traveling anymore. We're just enjoying life. My wife and I go to bed at 8:30. The kids come visit us. We talk to them every a week on the phone. We uh, that that kind of thing. Have a balanced life, and certainly try to get a decent work job, occupation, so you can enjoy life. Also, and I think the other thing, if you're successful, unless you're successful, you can't help your kids. If you're not successful, you can't help your grandkids. You can't help other people, strangers, even, frankly. And I just helped somebody who was in dire straits and really had a problem. And I wrote them a check. I don't even know them very well, but I've seen them in the coffee shop I go to every morning. And she had a story, and I could do it, so I did it. And I don't know her from Adam, but helping strangers, helping other people, it makes you feel good. So if you don't have money, you can't help other people with money. If you don't have knowledge, you can't help other people with teaching them and showing them and being a good role model. Uh, so you got to think about, be lucky for what you have and share it, and you'll leave a legacy. You're quickly forgotten. Another 20 years, nobody will remember Lee Cockerell was ever on Earth. So take care of people. Take care of people now. Take care of people now. People, even we help our grandkids if we can now, not after we're dead. Uh, and There's a lot of joy, and we all know we're available for each other. If anybody in the family needs help, they call. We get together, we figure it out, we work it out, and it's like having a team. We do. Our family is a team. There's seven of us, and we have the bad times and we have the good times, and the kids made mistakes when they were teenagers, and we dealt with that and got them back on track. And it's you need a family to do with a lot of things, because one thing that's a problem today, people are getting too isolated. They're on this social media, they live alone, they don't go out at night. um, and more isolation is probably one of the best ways to get depression. You need to be out, you need to be with people, you need to have that human touch and experience. uh, we all need emotionally support. I mean, I tell my wife I love her every day. That's why she didn't leave me. That's, you do that with your employees, you won't have turnover, you know. But it's just, we're very emotional humans. We need people, we need contact, we need appreciation, recognition, encouragement. We need to be told we're good, we're a good person. We need to get up, given opportunity. And if you can do it, do it. If you can't do it, wait till you can. Help people. Sometimes all you can do is call them and give them encouragement. It doesn't cost you a penny. Just saying, "Hell, I'm thinking about you. I hope you're doing good. I know you're going through a rough time. I just wanted you to know I wish I could do more." That alone, just, we all can do something to help people. People are really having a lot of anxiety and mental health issues right now. They're very Anxiety is really a big problem across the world. I'm sure in the UK too. I mean, people are worried about their jobs, the economy, you name it, terrorism, drugs. We all have too much to think about, and we need to be with people who can give us encouragement and say, "Okay, we're going to do that. We'll do this together. I'm going to help you." Yeah. So it's real. Living
Wow.
alone and being alone is not healthy. At least get a dog.
Thank you very much for sharing this. I've got two more questions, and that's it.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, what's a piece of advice you received that stuck with you throughout your life, and why?
Yeah, my wife, she told me early in my career, Lee, be careful what you say and do today. Everybody's watching you and judging you. And don't ever underestimate that. We all have a reputation, and sometimes we don't realize people are watching us or watching how we speak to other people, how we deal with other people, how we take care of people. How are we nice? Are we not nice? Be careful what you say and do every day. You are being judged every second of the day by somebody that's around you. And I thought that was pretty good advice because if you don't do that, you will be responsible for your problems.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. All right. The final question is, what would you be your final words of wisdom to pass on to the younger generation? You've shared a lot of wisdom throughout the interview, a lot of knowledge, tips in general, but is there one piece of wisdom you would want to
Yeah.
pass on to the younger generation in particular?
I would say to everybody, don't underestimate what you can achieve and don't underestimate the influence you have every day with everybody you come into contact with. And to me, that is, they need to listen to podcasts like yours. They need to be around people who are encouraging. They need to get away from people who are negative. Uh, you become like the culture you hang out in. You hang out with idiots, you'll become an idiot. You hang out with good, positive people, you'll get there. And ask for help. When you need help, ask for help. And most people are willing to help you. And don't try to run life alone. You don't have to be alone. Look for people to help you, even in business. When I had a problem, I didn't know the solution. I got everybody in the room. We stayed there till we figured out what to do. I got the credit. So that's all. You just gotta open yourself up and invite other people to help you, and you don't have to act like you're the genius. Everybody already knows you're not. So that's like, I'm, I was probably the dumbest person in the job, but I hired really great people and made me look good.
Lee, thank you very much. I really truly appreciate for you sharing all the knowledge and wisdom and the stories from your
Yeah,
life. That means a lot to me. It means the world to me. I truly appreciate it. Um,
sure. Thank you so much. Keep in touch. Take care.